Okay, so the main reason for convening this meeting, even though we have one on the end of the month, the regular meeting, is because obviously the situation where the COA director has departed suddenly. And I thought it might be a good time to review, although we may not decide on all the details, but today, review the job description for the COA director and also mission statement for the COA.
Which there already is one,
Yeah,
right. But do we want to change it?
right. So in order to accomplish that, the job description is here before you. And in order to get it back as soon as possible to Margaret, I'm thinking, does it seem reasonable we would be able to put together our thoughts and modify, if any, do any modifications we think are possible today at this sitting? Or should we make a subcommittee and have everybody funnel that back to the subcommittee and so we can do it with a little time for thought?
I'm open to either one. If we don't get it
whatever people
accomplished
decide.
today, yeah.
I mean, this has only been in place for how long? It's about a year, right? Or was it
Yeah.
longer? Yeah, so this was just put together, so there probably shouldn't be a whole lot of changes made. Unless someone
Okay, so should we take a moment to go
quick
through
look through
and
it?
You want to
Read
take a
through it.
vote on that, or we're just gonna carry
Oh,
on?
we can take a vote on it. Do you want to do it now?
Okay, what is it that we're talking about?
The job description.
Okay, so
But-
is there a copy of that available?
There
I can
is.
look at?
There's some floating around.
Yep, here's one.
Oh, is this it?
Oh, this is it.
Oh,
No,
okay. Let's see.
it says Council on Aging Director at the top.
Oh, looks like a lot of work.
For 20 hours a week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
was
yeah.
there any feedback when she departed about how
I don't-
manageable this
I don't know if there's,
description was in the time constraints?
was there an exit interview or did you,
Yes.
there was?
Yes, and I think more of the concern centered around the, I don't want to say overlapping duties, but the different duties between the 1870 Town Hall manager and the Council on Aging director. I think that she found them not necessarily compatible. So if we're looking at COA director, we should focus specifically on COA director duties. We'll leave the 1870 Town Hall work to the board or another group to talk about how that's gonna be managed.
So she departed from both positions.
She did. Yeah.
The 1870 wasn't in her original job description.
She took that on, I think, last June, same around last June.
But it was a second part-time job, which was compensated separately,
Right.
so,
Oh, it was.
yeah.
So in the, can we go back to the original question? In the exit interview, was there any issues with the time constraints in doing the job?
No.
Yeah, okay, that was what the
There were
question I
none-
think was.
None specifically mentioned.
So how are they then not compatible?
Excuse me?
How are they then not compatible?
Because there are just different charges. One, the COA job description is very different than the 1870 Town Hall job description. And
Yeah.
not only that, the COA job description or the COA job is funded through the budget. The Town Hall, the 1870 Town Hall manager job is funded through a revolving fund where it's paid through fees that are coming into this building for use of the building. So I have a feeling, I've got a sense that 1870 Town Hall job was more of a concern to her. There were concerns regarding conflicting programs at
Right.
19 Carter in this building, and the amount of time she had to put in to try to book this building and assure the revenues came in to support her job and upkeep of the building. So I think COA director, she didn't have that many concerns. They weren't expressed to me in the exit interview anyway.
She talked about the conflict between using this, because she talked about this could be like a senior center, and senior activities could take place here. But was there a conflict between that and somebody saying, okay, we want to book the hall on Thursday at this time? And, oh my goodness, we were planning to do a program for the seniors at that time. You know, which one would win out?
Yeah, so that's something that we did not discuss, but I know that's a concern. And actually, I don't want to change the topic too much, but the select board's going to be having another coffee talk on February 13th. And the second half of that coffee talk in the evening is going to be about use potential for this building. So if you come to that, bring your thoughts on use of this building. That has been brought up, town use versus private use. Town use isn't going to generate income in order to support the position and the upkeep of the building, whereas private use will. So, again, that really wasn't, it was discussed in our exit interview, but not as it pertained to the COA director position.
Right.
Who drafted this, the yearly program, Council on Aging? Oh, Frank.
Was the wording under supervision, okay, works under the administrative direction of the Board of Selectmen and under the policy direction of the Council on Aging? Was that taken to mean that she worked for the Council on Aging or what?
So Council on Aging director inherently works in support of the Council on Aging. There was no town administrator at this time, so that's where the administrative direction under the board came from. So that's probably one of the things that you might want to change just for proper structure. But yeah, the Council on Aging director, it works for the Council on Aging, no differently than I work for the Board of Selectmen.
Mm-hmm.
But I have felt, and I'll say this here, I feel that the director's position, there might be differences of opinion in what the duties of the director position should be. I feel that for ease of administration and support to the Council on Aging, I do believe that it should be more of a managerial position. It is overseeing some positions, and it is coordinating functions for the Council on Aging. So I think you might want to look at that. And I think the Personnel Committee has actually discussed placing the position in a more appropriate grade on the classification plan too.
Because I wonder if that's where, and maybe people on the Council on Aging Board, I mean, I've been told by people that she was hired to be an assistant.
She's director. The title is director, and it should reflect those duties.
Pardon?
If the title is director, so it should reflect director duties.
Mhm.
And you had raised the question this morning about this, works closely with and provides support to the COA, and you said maybe it should be the other way around.
I did.
COA supports the director.
I think that's very accurate.
So it should maybe read, works closely with and with the support of the COA.
Where are you at? Right
Does
on-
that sound reasonable?
Oh, right, okay, we're so,
Under supervision, second
got it.
paragraph, does that sound reasonable?
That does sound reasonable.
Works closely with and with the support of.
Yeah, that sounds like a real of the conflict about assistant or non-assistant.
Not even a reference to director.
And is she under now Margaret and not the Board of Selectmen? Is that what she was saying? Would this
She
position
works for
be,
the Board of Selectmen.
oh, it is still under the Board of Selectmen, not under, okay.
Is there something in here that, or did I, there is and I missed it, something about a requirement to communicate with the Council on Aging?
Yeah, there is.
Because I didn't feel strongly included in some of that. So there's a staff liaison to the Council on Aging, meeting with members on a regular basis, prepares and administers annual department budget, COA approval.
I think that would be important to put in here, because do people feel that there was, sometimes there was not communication?
I think the budget was one time, was it not?
I forgot to bring the budget document, I'm sorry.
As in, we didn't, I think the budget was, she submitted the budget, but it wasn't after we looked at it and
Do we
said,
want Margaret to go and get the budget?
I forgot it, so I'm going to get it.
does it affect how we're talking about this, do you think?
No,
No,
no, I
I
don't
don't
think
think
so.
No,
Okay.
relax.
No, you can continue. I'll be right back.
Close with and with the support of.
I think it wouldn't hurt to have that language in there.
Even if it's just like a weekly update via email.
Somebody want
To all of us?
phrase?
Yeah, just so that when we come into our monthly meeting, everything is more top of
We know
mind.
what-
We
yeah.
can, I felt like over the last year, when I've been a little bit more present, there was a lot of repetition in meetings, and so I think that would help alleviate that if we knew what was going on.
If we already had the information.
And then we could actually make better decisions.
You wanna
the
put
time
that in
we
the
have
form of
together.
a,
Oh, God.
See, Kate?
You need this paper?
You do, I think.
Good.
Thank you.
So where would you put it in?
would that be under essential functions? It sounds like it's an essential
Yes, I
function.
think so.
Oh, so since we're under essential functions, because I'm a social worker, the word counseling, I don't think is the appropriate word to use here, because you actually need to be a social worker to counsel. And I think given the job description and the qualifications, that it probably should be support instead of counseling.
Or is advice all right?
Provides, you
Yeah.
can, yeah, advice.
Or should it say
In
provides
support.
for counseling to senior citizens?
Yeah, as long as it's being directed
down.
out, like, you know what I mean,
Right.
like that, this particular person, I don't think that,
Right there, yeah.
you know, the state of Massachusetts requires you have a social work license. Unless this person is a licensed social worker, I don't think that that's,
Oh, I don't
I can
think
go back
that's
down.
part of that description.
no. And
No,
I
that's
don't,
good. I think that's a good point. Right, otherwise we'd have to have a couch in her office.
well,
Provides
I'm a social worker, not a
advice,
coach in
yeah.
my office, so there you go. Not always.
What would be available for her to provide for counseling?
You would source that out, like you would, you know,
Would we make an appointment for her?
referrals,
with
make
somebody?
referrals.
Referrals.
Yeah, refer.
So
back to
provide
this.
referrals, would that be more?
Absolutely, yeah,
clear?
provide referrals for counseling, that, if you wanted to leave the word there.
From what I've read of the history of the Council on Aging, that counseling senior citizens was an important part of the program, of the,
Well, the only counseling I ever knew was that when we, on Thursdays, when we went to the nurse comes in, she would talk to certain people that had problems as a nurse. But of course, at one time, there was a nurse who was president of this.
Oh, of this,
Oh, yes,
is
Who
the
is that?
nurse,
Mary Pekauskas.
oh, right, yeah. Okay, the other thing, so at one time, and I do have some notes on it, Jerry Cashin took training and was was a confidential advisor. He was certified to provide confidential assistance to seniors.
You were at the state,
Huh?
That's a shine officer, that's
That's
a very
different. That's-
difficult certification to get, and it's very time consuming.
Mm-hmm, right.
that's usually for financial, the Shine
I think it-
counselors,
Yeah,
do the financial help people
Yeah.
with like insurance.
Okay, one member received training and was state certified to provide confidential assistance in Medicare,
Yep, that's
et
the Shine.
cetera, long-term care issues and
Mhm.
things like that.
Yeah, that's what, she's, it's the
That's
Shine,
the
the Shine. Yeah, I think that,
Okay,
I'm
so
pretty
that's
sure
a-
that, Holly had done the same thing. I think she was
Yeah.
or she,
I don't know if she
we had
completed
talked
it.
about it, whether she
Right.
did it, I don't
We
know.
gave her permission
Yeah.
to get the training.
Beginning of December, I think it was one day, and she had several people come in to meet with the shine officer.
Mhm. Oh, okay, because at one point, things were referred to the Shine, as
Yeah.
opposed to somebody within the Council on Aging.
But if you ever have any questions, I know Hudson and Northborough are more than willing to talk to
Mhm.
Berlin
Okay.
residents. I think once you become certified, you have to be willing to talk to people from other towns.
Mm-hmm, right.
Maybe I was just reading this wrong though with the counseling. If you're talking about financial counseling, you could provides financial counseling.
Do you want to limit it though?
No,
I
no,
see
you
your
probably want to
point,
leave it
but-
more broad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, but I see your point.
Well, in the last sentence, that last line there actually
Covers
refers
the,
to the financial side
yes,
of
it
it.
does, yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. Responsible for operation of Meals on Wheels program, health clinics, and nutritional programs. I thought the Meals on Wheels was provided by,
Well, I don't think it means she has to implement it, because it's already implemented. Just make sure that there are drivers.
that we're hooked up
It's
for.
not the operation of, it's more that, it's probably more the,
I think up here it says supervisors, bus and meal on
It does.
wheel drivers, employees. I guess that's not a duplication.
but you're right, it's not the operation of the program, right? I
Right.
mean, it's, right, I'll change the word.
Yep. Make another word.
What would be a better word?
Coordination.
Coordination.
Good word.
Bob's got the word.
That sounds good.
What's the difference between Meals on Wheels and a nutritional program? Would that be a separate instructional type? Seminar.
Well, I would think that would be more if somebody had, like, they were diabetic and maybe needed some education
Mhm.
on the proper ways to eat or cardiac diets and stuff like that. That's how I would interpret it.
Or just general.
General nutritional,
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
Whereas the Meals on Wheels is a specific actual meal that's being.
And who provides the nutritional programs now?
Well, it looks like it was under the COA director. I don't know that there was any programming.
Is that one of the services that we used to provide and aren't presently? And
Not
maybe,
that I'm aware
Or
of.
do we use Neshoba Nursing for that?
Yeah.
Like you
We
said,
Right.
does the nurse or,
Nashova comes in.
or Minuteman, those are the two.
Well,
And
and
I'm-
the things that I found from 1996 on, they would mention nutrition, but it was always in terms of the Meals on Wheels
Oh,
Well, that, because that was done in-house.
in-house.
mhm,
And now, of course, it's not done in-house.
right.
I'm trying to think. At one time, Timmy's wife,
Janet?
yeah, took a course.
Yeah, that was because they prepare the jellies and stuff
Yes,
that-
and, yeah.
there on their property.
And now they're coming out of Lancaster, aren't they, the meals?
I heard they were prepared in Lancaster, but coming out of Clinton.
Yeah, they were coming out of Clinton.
was there not at some point a church connection too? One of the churches, St. Joseph's?
St. Joseph's, they used to do the cooking there.
Right. It was
And at one-
started by Mary Petkauskas.
That's
and-
exactly.
Right, and
That's
all
ex-
of the people.
And the girls, and most of the people that did the cooking were members of,
St. Joseph's
Church.
and First Parish.
yeah.
Yeah, our neighbor Julie Willis used to prepare meals, I
Yeah,
know,
so
at
it
one
was
point.
done by both at
Yeah.
one, different times.
But none of that's done anymore.
No.
It all comes,
They couldn't call it Meals on Wheels.
Right,
Right.
that's
and
right.
it was changed to the what, the meal?
because that is a federal
Move on
program,
or
I think,
something,
or,
and then
yeah,
it
was
or
the
state program, yeah.
oversight that
Right.
Because we
Yeah, they had
renamed
to
it.
cook
Now,
under
now it's
somebody's
coming back to me.
license and nobody
We,
was comfortable with.
Yeah.
Like Janet wasn't
Jan- no,
comfortable
she was
offering
not.
up the Indian
That's
head.
right. Because some of these meals
liability
were
for that.
cooked at home
Right,
and brought in,
right.
or some were cooked there, and we delivered them from
Right,
here.
and we couldn't guarantee that a senior was eating the meal the moment it was delivered and that it didn't sit out or, you know.
But usually they were delivered within the, I want to say, if they were prepared in the morning, they were
Mhm.
delivered before lunchtime.
Right, but I think that was one of the concerns that
Concerns.
came up around the time that it
was
would be
left
the
out on the
oversight.
table.
Yeah, if it was left
Yeah.
out and then they went to eat it, but something that happened.
Mhm.
So sorry,
Are we
not to
leaving?
go back, but I'm working out my language here. Do we want to have like a summary of the tasks that have been performed or ongoing projects, like a week prior to the meeting, so we all have an opportunity to read that and can come to the meeting with thoughts? Or should it just be
Sounds like an
like a
agenda.
bi-weekly?
Be an agenda item, so what services were provided this month?
Or I guess more so, I reached out to so-and-so with the Worcester, Transit Authority, and we had a discussion about this. Should we forget this altogether, the summary?
Well, I mean, it's nice to know, because we're always saying, so what's happening with the van?
Right, right.
And what's happening with this, what's happening with that? So you're saying summarize what outreach and activity was undertaken? Hey, Judy.
Yeah, or maybe if we could just get it a few days in advance, so.
I'll just watch the
Can you sit over there?
We found, can I just, personnel's found through the
Mills.
job descriptions. Keep the job descriptions very general,
Yeah.
because your individual policies come under like an SOP. You don't want to get into.
What's a SOP?
Yeah,
Standard operating procedures?
Yes. You want policies too.
We call that SOS sometimes.
I have, yeah. But to make sure you don't get into too many little fine details in the job description itself, because it's gonna change.
so we could work that out just after the person's hired.
Yeah,
and-
you want communication.
Yeah,
You
well, I
want-
just thought so our meetings would be more productive.
Right, so you come up with just.
Yeah,
Basic
because to be
communication.
asked to think about this stuff on the spot, sometimes when you haven't had a chance to review what's going on, if we had a little bit of time, we could actually brainstorm
Yeah.
and then
You
have
just
a more
found you didn't want to
productive
get
meeting.
minutely
No,
detailed
that's perfect.
in the job description, but yes, you
Yeah.
absolutely want to say that you want communication before meetings and
Yeah.
updates.
Regular communication.
We can,
Where did we put that in, or have
we
we
didn't.
not put it
We
in
didn't
yet?
put it in.
Under functions?
Under,
Essential
yes.
functions, yes.
What we doing?
Well, you could put it, if, well, wait a minute.
Informs the council at its monthly meetings of the services rendered by the COA during that month.
Yeah.
You can either add it onto one of these statements already here, or
Just make it
Create a new
a
line.
standalone, so it's
Standalone
taken
line.
with the seriousness that we intend. I don't even remember
All
what
the
I just
members
said.
have
Dementia
monthly
unit,
meetings.
dementia unit.
we can find you one probably in this book.
Yeah, all right.
Informs council on aging of,
Communicates, I think was the word you used.
Communicates with the council on aging at its monthly meeting,
yeah.
Prior,
the
Prior.
services.
she said prior.
Oh, prior.
What?
How much prior? Because then you
I
won't
don't
get
know,
what's
couple-
happening.
No, I
in the
I think
month.
you're right, going back to just maybe leaving it vague and just that there is a communication, we work it out.
Yeah.
The details of that.
Communicates. ongoing
Communicates the
pro-
services
no.
offered by the
Right,
COA.
ongoing communication
Ongoing projects or,
to
yeah.
COA.
Communicates when?
Well,
Well,
At
that's
the-
where we
at-
keep it.
times
vague.
other than this meeting, I will, yeah,
Yeah.
prior to, just prior
the
to.
meeting, yeah.
It's gonna
Or
give you-
between meetings or some, oh, there's a sign there.
Or could say keeps the COA board informed of the services provided.
Yeah, you did say informed at one point. Yeah.
Does that
On
inform
an
our
ongoing
decision
basis.
about what we're gonna say?
On an ongoing basis?
we-
Prior to meeting?
Are you still going back, okay, prior to, okay, you want that in there so we can,
Oh, no,
yeah, I don't know how you,
I only start, I have the capital letter C
We don't have to
written
say
so far
how-
because
Much.
You have a meeting once a month,
we meet monthly,
Yeah.
yeah,
so what about in the middle,
right.
Yeah.
2 weeks before your meeting?
Mm-hmm.
If you wanna
Okay.
put, if you're really set on the
I don't
date.
think we need to put a specific date. I'm not set on that. I just thought prior to.
And we can work it out after.
Yeah, yeah. Or we could scrap it and just.
okay, has somebody written out a
Request that
sentence?
of
that
them.
You keep starting, Bob.
I keep starting. I have capital C so
Me
far.
What about
Communicates-
informs council on aging of summary of ongoing projects prior to monthly meeting?
Okay, say it again.
We'll write it down.
Informs council of aging of summary of ongoing projects prior to monthly meeting.
COA about which service?
Ongoing projects or?
Ongoing
Because I
projects.
feel like we have these set things that are part of our agenda all the time, but
Mhm.
then we also have these other projects that we're trying to get going, gathering information on. There's a lot of outreach she was doing with multiple parties, and so that was the stuff that I thought would be helpful to know on a more regular basis, so then we can say, oh, I can help with the outreach on this, or I can help pull this together.
So we're saying,
Not so much what's happening with how many people get meals on Thursday and how many people got meals on Tuesday.
yeah. Inform COA about ongoing projects on a regular basis.
Yeah, or just prior to monthly meeting.
On a monthly basis.
Yeah,
And then the
perfect,
time,
That sounds fine.
yeah.
okay, any other modifications? So what I see so far is, second paragraph under supervision works closely with and with the support of the COA. And then down below under essential functions,
Bob, I need a sentence.
need what?
I need a sentence.
Sentence is, works closely with,
It's up
comma,
here. Oh, he's fixing, he's just working on this one right here.
yeah,
Okay.
works closely with, comma, and with the support of, comma, the COA. And under essential functions, the first non-italicized paragraph, second line, about providing a variety of social health and information services, answers questions, and provides information by telephone and in person provides, adding in referrals for counseling to senior citizens.
Okay.
So that's the only change in that paragraph. And then a new essential function under that informs COA about ongoing projects on a monthly basis.
We, under responsible for Meals on Wheels, on the first page, we were gonna change operation to coordination.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's-
he was
that's-
just putting in another line like right here. It doesn't matter where we put it.
You can put that line wherever you like. You can put it on the side of the page if you like.
We've got it on the second page.
That's okay. And then next to the last line says responsible for Operation Meals on Wheels. It would now say responsible for coordination of Meals
Oh, you
on
got
Wheels
that, right?
program,
Yeah, you did that.
Okay.
health clinics and nutritional programs.
And this person is still doing the powder house.
Yeah,
Right, okay, just,
yeah. Even though she took a powder.
Can I make a point on the powder house news?
yeah?
Okay, so the powder house news is supposed to let people, seniors know what's going on in town.
Yes.
Do we have a new,
As long as I've been a member, the newsletter would come out after the Thursday lunch that the Senior Citizens Association put on. And so I think people didn't realize, it would be a reminder to people that that is taking place. So I think it should state that prior to the first of the month, and even, sometimes the first Thursday is the first of the month. Yeah, I'd like to see it out so that people, are getting news for the month is in people's hands before the month begins.
So, and mails the Powder House News in the week before during the week before the
Before the
monthly meeting luncheon.
first of the month or whatever.
Just first of the month.
Yeah,
First
you can
of
just
the
put
month.
just prior to the first of the month.
Powder House newsletter.
You see,
Prior
it's
to
the
the
very
first.
last thing right here.
Yeah,
Oh.
right. Prior to the first of the next month.
Prior to the first of the following month. I'm gonna have to leave it in there.
So does that make sense? Prepares, publishes, and mails Powder House newsletter prior to the first of the following month.
Makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. And/or with the meal served at the Berlin Seniors Luncheon. Yes. Never mind. That's first. Does it, if I missed, or does it say in here that prepares what is it you put in the town warrant, the report on the activities of the COA
Something.
during the year?
Town report. Report for the town report. Yearly report for the town report.
Are you saying it does say that in there?
I thought I read something, hold on, maybe not specifically, is what you're saying.
Prepares various reports as requested by the COA and other town officials.
Maybe that's what I saw.
But that's,
do we want to put anything in there about managing the My Senior
Yes,
software?
I was just thinking about that because that's up and running, right?
Yeah.
It's been paid for, we don't know if it's up and running.
It's way down bottom here where it says computer
Manages
literacy.
and populates. Yeah.
It says word processing, internet, and desktop publishing. Maybe you can add it onto that sentence there, or knowledge of. does it have to be that program, or is it, or is it, is there a way to state that in more general terms instead of that specific program?
Well, we've already paid for that program.
Oh, I know it has to
Haven't
be
used
that,
it,
but I
so-
don't, yeah, how,
Yeah, I think we should have
But I
her
think-
trained.
is it
for
something
that.
that falls under this, though? Would it be? There's a training that goes with that, right? The gentleman would have
Yeah.
to train the person.
Mhm. It was pretty straightforward, so
Yeah.
I think if you have like, you know.
If you're computer literate, you should be
yeah,
able to.
And there is support that we have
Mm-hmm.
from them for 2 years.
Correct.
So,
Mm.
I'm wondering if we should put it under the essential
Or we could just put
functions, you know,
our
manages and
senior
populates.
thingamajig would
Oh,
be-
well, we can go back to that, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Knowledge of my
Knowledge of-
senior center software plus.
Just put it there.
If you could,
It's not required.
if we could go back up to the fourth paragraph on the second page. Prepares and submits annual report to the Executive Office of Elder Affairs, prepares various reports as requested by the COA and other town officials, including a summary of COA activities for inclusion in the annual town report.
Hold that thought.
Or repeat it.
Including a
Summary
summary
of-
of annual COA activities
For inclusion in the annual report. Is that what you-
or including submitting a summary of COA
Including a
activities to
summary
the,
of COA
for use in the town,
activities
annual
for
town
inclusion
report.
in the annual report. I think that's what you said.
That should be written up in January.
Submitting I hope somebody's writing this legibly, so whoever has to look at our,
I think
Changes.
4 of us are writing it down, so
Yeah.
I think between them.
between all 4 of us, we'll probably be able to make
We'll
out all
type it
the
up
letters.
and,
You'll type it up, Fran?
yeah,
Okay, send it to us and we can review it.
Okay. I'm just gonna type up the changes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't retype all this. Okay.
Okay, so that says, including submitting a summary of the COA's annual activity. For inclusion in the annual town reports. Of course, after we do all these changes, we're gonna have to vote on increasing the salary of the COA director to by another 5,000 a year or something. And you said by January, or do you think that's
In January.
in
I'm
January?
not sure the exact date. We have to get it to Barry early in the year.
In January. Okay, yeah, having the date there is a good heads up. Okay, anything else?
Is this application open to everybody?
You gonna postpone your Florida trip?
Not me, honey.
Do you want an application?
Huh?
Did you want an application?
No, I don't think so. I've done my thing.
You'd have to talk to Margaret, or, yeah.
You what?
Is that, is the,
It's open to everybody?
The advertise, yes.
Yeah.
Well,
You
I
have to know
had
where
a
to look for
comment made to
advertising.
me about when we hired Holly, that people from town were told not to apply because they didn't want it to stay in-house.
I've
And
heard
I-
things of that nature,
Okay.
and that is not going to happen under my watch or the watch of the Personnel Committee. This is an open application process. It's gonna be advertised for 10 days, and then resumes are reviewed based on qualifications.
I mean, as a town employee, as the town, and I was an employee, I find it very offensive that somebody would say to somebody that lives in town, don't apply because you're not gonna be considered.
Yeah, that is absolutely not the case.
I mean, I don't think
One
that-
person was actually told that they would not even give her an application.
Exactly. And I find that is very wrong, because I'm of the opinion that when you pick from in-house, they know what you need, especially in this town. Because we're a small town, we don't have a magnitude of money, but we have a wealth of knowledge. And I think that should count for something. I just find that, I couldn't believe it, I've heard that 2 or 3 times, and I just think it's very, very wrong,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I heard it as well.
You've heard it too, okay,
Yes,
so
I
it
did.
wasn't just one of us.
You know, for this to be said by one or more people, almost suggests, it almost suggests some kind of complicit decision somewhere.
Before we even got to,
Right. So in other words, what I'm saying is, it wasn't just 1 or 2 people saying this, it's that they had gotten it from someplace where maybe it should never have come from. So that's why I applaud you. I don't know where it originated,
I
but
don't
there
either.
was more than 1 or 2.
Well, it sounds like we're all on the same page
Yeah.
now, and that's a better,
and that's
much better
important
place to
to
be.
have it out there, because like I said, I just, and like I said, new people come in town, and they are in town because they choose our environment, and then to ostracize people that do stay here for 100 years, and some of us have been here 100 years. It's just,
Well, not us personally.
not us personally, but
You wear it well.
I guess so, but I've talked to other people, and they said that they just felt it was wrong to do.
Well, if that was past practice, or if that was said in the past, it is absolutely not going to happen now. We have a way to, and believe me, we've been through enough search processes lately that
Yeah.
we're becoming well-versed in them. So that's not going to happen, okay?
Good,
It's open to everyone.
good.
Margaret, where is it published? The job
For
offer.
a COA director position, so if this is going to be kind of a managerial position, it's probably gonna be posted on the website, Facebook, it'll go in the newspaper.
The town's website.
It'll be a little more broadly published because it's a director position and not, not a general employee, part-time employee position, so.
Well, you want a job?
No, I have a job. I need to excuse myself though. I said, I had a half hour. I
I have more than one
gave you.
job, so I don't need another one.
Okay, I'd
Do you
like
need
to-
me for anything else before I go? I'm sorry, I just, okay,
You're dismissed.
thank you.
Yes.
I'd like to comment on the next to the last one under essential function. It says participate in local and regional efforts to expand and improve services to the elderly. I would like that to include, to actually name the Berlin Senior Citizens Association.
I'm missing where this is.
The next to the last line.
Under,
You on the first page?
Under
Oh,
the
you're-
essential
Page 2.
functions,
Page
so
2.
page 2 of the essential.
okay.
Right.
Next to the last one, it says responsible for coordination of Meals on Wheels.
No,
No, no,
on
flip to the
second
next page.
Oh, good, okay.
Participates?
In local and regional efforts to expand and improve services to the elderly. I would like it to include somehow or other,
Maybe like IE, Berlin Senior.
Berlin Senior Citizens Association. Because I think that's something. that-
Well, don't you think that services to the elderly includes the seniors, the Berlin seniors?
Yeah, but they may not
Right,
know
but
it.
I'd like to see more coordination between what the Council on Aging is doing and what the Berlin Senior Citizens is doing in planning programs, or working together to support each other.
I'm still. Oh, up here, okay.
So
There.
basically, what you're saying is you'd like to see us stay as two individual groups, but that it would probably benefit the senior citizens if we could work more closely together to provide meals and different things. A little give, a little take, I think, on both sides. Is that what I'm getting
That's
from
what I'm
you?
saying, right.
Well, when we have our Council on Aging meetings, we have an open meeting. So maybe somebody from your senior groups should attend our meetings, because a lot of our meetings attend your groups, so they know what you're doing, but I think it's up to you to try to attend one of our meetings or come.
I think
Yeah.
that's why we're here today.
This is it, to get to know what's going on.
Yeah, I've been submitting, because I'm on both groups. I've
Yeah,
been
you're in both groups, you
inviting
said, yeah,
people to
you
come.
did tell me that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's a good idea to get to involved.
Yeah.
That would certainly help coordination, but.
Yes.
Right. From what I can see also, just going through the town reports, is that some of the jobs that the Council on Aging used to do have been taken over by the association. I think at one time the Council on Aging might have been providing the lunches on the first Thursday. At one point, Council on Aging was financially supporting the senior citizens. And they were also applying for grants from the Cultural Council.
Well, they still do,
Okay.
as far as I know.
I
We
don't
still
think-
apply for grants.
I don't think one has been applied by recently,
We do the formula.
By a
grant.
specific group, or, I mean,
by the council. Okay,
To
so
whom, though?
let's see if I can
who do we
find
know
that.
the grants for?
To the arts grant?
They
Okay,
can still apply.
We are restricted in how we spend the money.
okay. In 2000, Council on Aging preparing to offer 2 cultural programs funded by Berlin Cultural Commission, featuring well-known speakers in, okay. I think that has been taken over by the senior citizens, because we do apply for grants, 2 or 3
Yeah.
grants. So I think there was, what I'm trying to say is there was
That
more.
was 20 years ago.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
There was just more coordination, and some of the things that the Council on Aging was doing have been transferred to the senior citizens. You know,
Well, hopefully,
Yeah.
I'm not saying this questionnaire we're doing is a panacea, but the objective of that is to see where there are gaps and where there are overlaps, and then hopefully work out a more.
I like what you have said about keeping things kind of simple, and that allows for a more broad interpretation. I think
SOPs.
everybody here has agreed that we think it would be a good thing to collaborate with the Berlin senior citizens, and
But is that part of your job description for the
Right.
director, or part of your mission statement for the COA?
Right.
I think now you're starting to cloud. things
yeah, I
down
think
that
we're
way.
getting a little too, maybe too specific, because if you're specific in one area, should we be specific in other areas? And that could be seen as excluding other groups if we're specifically including just the, I don't know. Keep it
I
simple
gotta
and
say though, I
and
think
make that part of the mission.
in defense of a lot of people with the seniors, we've had a lot of people step down, and we've had quite a changeover even since I came in as president. Well, I came in as treasurer, and then I became president, and Bob McTague has stepped down, Bob Blair enters. And we haven't got the same commitments, I don't think, the same commitment level with everybody, because everybody's just trying to figure out where they belong and what they should be doing here. Now, there are some that have been around. Now, Judy Duff was the secretary, and she stepped down. So now we've got Mary Wheeler doing it. And,
Corresponding secretary.
yeah, Deb Baldwin has stepped down. So we're in a constant state of just trying to get our roots, get firmly implanted. And thank goodness, I gotta say, for my co-members here, Bob has been great for reaching out between the two of us. He adds a lot to our group, and Louise is golden. She does so much for this group, I can't even begin to tell you. I mean, she is my right-hand girl. If I need anything, I go to her.
I'm embarrassed, but
It's true, it's true, and you know it.
right, yeah.
But, so we have a lot to offer, but that might offer some kind of, I don't know, an explanation, not excuse, an explanation for why we haven't been so apt to go to your meetings, and we haven't been committed the way that three of us seem to be now.
Right,
Is that not everybody was on board,
yeah.
so we're working on this.
I think the other thing too.
Rewriting the history between the two groups.
Yeah.
Right,
And
And
there's history.
right, right. And I think that
So-
almost the whole board for the senior citizens are people who haven't been in senior citizens for that long. So we don't know, like, I mean, I can go through the reports and see what happened in
not
the
at all.
past, but I don't know right.
But, okay, where are we?
Yeah,
I walked in on this, where are we?
yeah. Well, we can leave that out then, but
I think we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but I like your idea about adding it maybe to the mission
Should be
statement.
part of
I'm
the
not
mission.
sure if it
You want to put it as part of the mission
Yeah.
statement, but you don't put it in her job.
Yeah,
Okay, any more on the job description? So we can. Do you agree, Louise, that that's
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
cool?
fine.
Okay. If questions come up at annual meeting about COA activities, is that something that the director should be up speaking about, or somebody on the board should be up speaking about?
Well, this year,
What's that?
this year. I don't know.
Ultimately, the director should have the ability
Yeah.
and, and skill to be able to do that
To
for
know
the
what's going
COA.
on
Mm-hmm.
out there.
So is that something we need to add to the essential duties?
yeah, attend
Be
the
available.
annual meeting.
Let's see, it could be
Not
under,
just preparing the report for the annual report, but actually attend the meeting. Speak on behalf if necessary.
There's more than one, there's quite a few there.
so you could add and answering,
That had decided this.
I wonder if it would kind of come naturally off of the fourth paragraph there. Ability to communicate effectively both orally and in writing, comma, including answering questions.
Do that at the annual town meeting.
which paragraph is this one down here?
Oh, under the recommended minimum qualifications,
from
the
the
fourth
bottom.
paragraph.
Fourth from the bottom, 2, 3,
No, sorry,
4.
fourth one down.
Ability, oh,
To prepare and manage
see
COA
that,
budget
but-
for finance.
Finances.
Tack it onto the back of that.
Ability to transfer.
Ability to,
Ability to communicate effectively both orally and in writing.
Including if asked at the town,
Yes.
annual town meeting. Or if requested.
Yeah, answering questions.
I don't even.
Communicate effectively both orally and in writing, including if requested at the annual town meeting.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. You have more on that? Or have we run out of directions to add?
huh?
I think we're done with that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I just didn't want the camera here to run out of film before we,
Rewind. The town of Berlin bylaws.
Town of Berlin bylaws describing the Council on Aging's.
It has a good description of our mission statement. We include those 4 things.
7 citizens of the town appointed by the selectmen for terms not to exceed 4 years for any member of said terms.
4 years,
44 years, in your case.
so that's, so that,
Does that mean 4 successive years or 4 years in total? Can you be there for 4 years and be
3
off for a year and
appointments.
come back in, like, what's his name in Venezuela? No?
I think it's up to the select people.
Okay. Member of said term. Staying so that not more than 3 months. Well, who should come to the different totally community solar.
She's being so good.
huh?
The baby's being so good.
So do each of you go off after 4 years?
Some of us don't.
That's what I thought.
Oh, yes.
So.
I was told that if you don't have to stay on it resigns, which is what some people do. Beverly resigned. Uncle Bill resigned when he was on. And sometimes they do it for health reasons, which is what Beverly did. Because Beverly got out of this, and she got out of meals,
Yeah, food pantry too.
food pantry.
Right.
And some people and not only that, it's not easy to get people in time to volunteer. And
Third
people-
paragraph
other people
up.
don't have.
How do we go about
Current services.
fulfilling that requirement?
Been here for years and
We hand it off to the
people like
director.
to help out.
Be cognizant of all state and federal
Sometimes you
legislation
can't
concerning
operate it
funding.
already unless you have a boss.
Saying the Council on Aging's job is to do that, so we're all supposed to be familiar with that?
I
And
don't
is
know.
there therefore a
I don't
procedure by
know
which the
when that was
director
done.
informs us, or somebody informs
But I
us?
think you
'Cause
take different jobs. At
I'm not
one
sure
time,
I'm
I was the guy
hip
that
on state and
collected
federal
what was
legislation.
yours. I did that.
I can't hear Bob.
You can't hear Bob?
No, because you're talking.
I will be quiet. Thank you for telling me.
I felt I had to.
Just asking, okay, everyone behave now.
Okay.
All right. Third paragraph. Third paragraph up from the end says, said Council on Aging shall cooperate with Commonwealth of Massachusetts Office of Elder Affairs, shall be cognizant of all state and federal legislation. So does that mean that we as a Council on Aging are going to be cognizant of all state and federal legislation? And if so, what is our source for that?
Well, a lot of times when we have our meeting in June, usually we bring in somebody from the state and fills us in on what's going on and what is coming up, and they make recommendations. Now, I noticed at our, last year in June when we had our annual, whatever, that was not included.
Okay, was I here in June? I don't think so.
I don't think you were. We went up to the, where did we go? Up to the Sterling.
Yeah.
Didn't, that's where we went, right, okay. And I
Okay.
thought
I'm
that,
innocent.
huh?
I'm innocent.
Well, that should have been
I think
included,
she had some speaker, but they couldn't come or
realize that.
something.
but it wasn't related to what we were,
Is that something we need to include in this, or just,
well, I think we've already got it in here, but I think it's got to be, made sure you're aware of it. I
right?
mean, as, when we have our
Does
meetings.
does that need to be part of the bylaws as to how we get this information, or is
Oh.
that just something that we're,
Trying to think of who they used to deal with.
Excuse me, how about putting reference to the director in here so they can facilitate that information?
Well, they did, they used to.
Oh, okay.
That, this time it was omitted
you're saying at the meeting it was?
at the
Annual meeting, but was there a COA director at that time?
no,
I didn't-
Holly was here then?
I mean, I know I missed a lot.
In
of
June.
meetings
She
last
was
year,
here in
but I
June.
don't remember us
The
having a
board
specific.
meeting or the-
no, when we have our luncheon in June and they bring in,
Right, she just brought in entertainment.
yeah,
No,
but
she brought in somebody to
she,
talk about.
yeah, she did bring in someone to talk about.
Her name is escaping me.
I can't,
I don't have my COA folder with me. It's in there.
So do we need to include that in the third paragraph? Something about the COA director will,
I didn't know we were gonna change the bylaws also.
Can't change the bylaws.
Are we supposed to?
no, well, all I said was,
no.
should we look at the mission statement of the Council on Aging, which I assume is in
Redesigned
with the
in
bylaws.
These were done in
Outlines.
78. But I think all that we've done, but I don't think, this year it was omitted.
Possible.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't need to
No,
change
it's
that
already
at all?
included, no, it's already included.
Okay. All right, you have any other finagling to do with the descriptions? We're good?
But for our mission statement, are we gonna include this whole thing?
Town of Berlin bylaws?
Yeah.
Imagine,
Are we on the same page here?
I don't know.
Usually a mission statement is kind of
Town of
short.
Berlin.
That's pretty much what
I
it's
thought the
stated.
4 things would be adequate.
Okay. And does anybody see need for any changes in any of those 4
No,
things?
no,
So we're good,
we're good.
okay.
Okay, so those 4 will be our mission statement, and everything is our bylaws.
So our, say again?
These 4 points are our mission statement,
Uh-huh,
but everything are still our bylaws.
right. Anybody else have any other new business? Any other old business?
See, members can be reappointed.
Any
as
other
successive
ageless
terms.
business, neither new or old?
That covers,
Bob, the budget packets I put right to your left. And
That's
Peggy also,
confusing, it's right to my left.
so you can look those over, and I've got the original here for signature.
Oops, pardon me, Earl, imagine.
I don't know if you want one, but
I'll tell you.
So you want to do that? Be my guest. So, if you'd like just a brief overview, the part-time wages line near the top of that form covers all of the employees of the Council on Aging. So that covers the directors' wages as well as the van drivers. Now, so you know, and we mentioned this earlier today in a smaller meeting we had. The Personnel Committee has recommended upgrading the position of Council on Aging Director from a grade 5 up to a grade 7, step 1. That would put them more in the managerial area of the classification plan. So the wages that are shown on the budget request form do reflect that increase, should it be approved by the board, the finance committee, and town meeting. The starting wage on step 1, if you look at the second page of your packet, that's a payroll budget worksheet. And the fourth column from the right shows the grade and step at which the position would be paid. It's a grade 7, step 1, with a starting rate of $22.31. The 1,014 hours a year would reflect the 19 and a half hours a week that the position works. Okay, and then we have the one van driver currently on staff, and then where it says unknown, that is budgeting amount for additional van drivers to drive the COA van once we're ready to post the job again.
And what does the 624 hours represent?
624 hours.
Might be what she's going
It's like
to.
15 hours a week.
Yeah,
Yeah. Was it 12?
this is on the second
12
page.
12 hours a week.
On the back of the
That's
first
right.
page, turn it over. There you go.
It's 12 hours a week, so
Yeah.
that would be split up.
So the idea there would be you'd have somebody on Tuesday and Thursday as well as Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah, I think that's the way
whatever.
Holly explained it, and we'll have to look a little bit more
Yeah.
into that to make sure that there's coverage. The next page in
Is
your.
that also somewhat contingent on what the WRTA decides?
It's going to be, and so is the revenue source, because if we're
Yeah.
gonna get reimbursed for drivers' wages, then that's also gonna have to be factored in as, you know, a revenue source, or at least a consideration when approving this budget.
Would that be a revolving fund? Because what you take in pays?
I don't believe it would be a revolving fund. I think that we're budgeting, a true revolving fund would be fee-based. So I think it would probably end up being the town budget. The town receives the money back in, it turns to free cash, and we have that money available for funding annually thereafter. The next page is the email that Holly received saying that the personnel committee was recommending the higher grade. And the next page.
Apparently that was not persuasive.
The next page is kind of a snapshot of the Council on Aging expenditures over the past 5 years for wages and expenses. You can see that in 2019, that's when the director position was first funded. So those, that 30,000, 38,000, that's gonna continue to be in there for wages. And then the rest of it is just for your reference. I thought that I would include detailed expenditure reports for both FY19, that's last fiscal year, and the current fiscal year to date for wages and expenses, so you can see kind of the patterns of spending over the past 2 years. It's really not something you have to study now if you don't want to, but it at least gives you an idea of where the money has been spent.
So, do we have to negotiate with them?
Who's Amy?
In order to use the bus for anything, so
That must be amount.
other than.
Huh?
Maybe it means
Amount,
amount.
yeah.
Amy. To allow us to fund the trip to maybe fundraising.
Yeah, so that's where the contribution the WRTA, they dictate the maintenance insurance reimbursement for drivers and that. They are gonna be setting parameters.
A lot of Holly George here. Holly George.
I think there might be no, in fact, I know there's a small error here in the addition at the bottom of the sheet, which we can certainly fix. The budget increase is not $11,628.
This looks like an entry from a Newton or Wellesley budget here, 4 BMW trips. Can't just go in a Chevy or a Ford.
Now you gotta have a BMW.
Any eagle eyes spot anything of note that we should be concerned about?
I won't check their checkbook if they don't wanna check mine. That's my philosophy. Isn't that fair?
Seems fair enough.
Okay.
Any questions? Additions, subtractions?
Meeting joined.
Any other business to discuss with regard to these specific issues? Because we do have our regular monthly meeting coming up later.
28th.
I think, I think at some point in looking at all of this information we had, a question occurred to me, maybe it's something we discuss at the monthly meeting at the end of the month, is we had an activities director at one point. Were the duties being performed by the activities director substantially different from what the COA director?
Remember, they've
Yes.
only been here 55 years.
The activity director was.
So what happened in
she
the
was-
1800s?
We forgot about them. They've always done the Tai Chi, and it's always been paid for. And we do
And the yoga.
yoga,
Right.
that type of thing. At one time, we did a chair,
We still do a chair yoga
we
also.
still, yeah.
Yeah,
At one time, Vera
musical
Monson
chairs.
was hired.
Yes, Vera
And
did
she
that.
did physical activities
Yep.
with people, kind of like a gym teacher type thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Looking forward, I think one thing we'd like to see is activities that might catch the eye of the younger senior or the younger people in town, okay? Things that might attract them so that we might be able to increase our membership, which will only serve to actually benefit the whole senior community.
Might bring more volunteers on board as well.
Yes,
Develop those
exactly, but I
relationships.
think we need to really, and going forward, center in and zone in on that, because a lot of the people, and I'm not putting down Tai Chi or yoga, but you're not gonna find a lot of the younger seniors or younger folk doing those things. And it doesn't have to necessarily be limited to seniors. But I think looking forward, we want to attract the younger crowd. That's where you're gonna get more interest in Old Home Day and all other types of activities, because you're involving, you're embracing the young ideas and bringing them in to enjoy some of the more youthful things. You know, if I were to say to some of my friends, hey, you wanna go to, you know, yoga or chair yoga, and that's not so easy either, I hear, but they would be like, oh, can't, isn't there something like?
Old people do.
Pickleball?
Right.
I think
Gee, on
that's a
that-
big
on that
favorite
thing-
in Boylston.
On that theme then, Judy, maybe we shouldn't call it Old Home Day, maybe we should just call it Home Day, Berlin Home
Well,
Day.
they did try that, didn't they?
Yeah,
Yes, they did a couple
they
of years
did.
ago.
It upset a
And
lot of
there was
people.
kind of an uproar about that. What's wrong with Old Home Day?
Yeah, you got something against old? What's the matter with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, we certainly, I think, looking forward, and both organizations
Yeah,
are gonna
good.
try to encompass everybody in the
Right,
community,
well, that would be
especially.
recreation's job, really, although they're kind of snowed, I guess, with trying to
Well, that's
maintain
why I
the
said
fields.
we gotta bring everybody into
Right.
this. I mean, I don't know how willing they are to do it,
But
but
it's hard,
everybody's
and it's hard
involved.
because especially in the winter, where older people, some of them can't see once it gets dark.
Right.
That's true.
You know, but I know personally, I've been invited to go to the one in Northborough. But there again, they don't have much at night.
Right.
And I think that's when some of us need to get away from the TV and either play cards or play games, which is something that we do in Florida.
Yep.
I mean, 3 nights a week down there, we have either game night or card night.
You've got it perfect. This is a
Yeah.
And you get together and it gets you out of the house. But there again, we don't have to drive. I mean, I probably live well, I don't know if I live the closest because we're all about in the same area. But
Isn't that what 19 Carter does though?
See, that's where there's been some kind of, perceived overlap. So at the board's coffee talk on February 13th, I know I mentioned this at the beginning of the meeting, the second half of that meeting is going to be to talk about uses for this building and maybe talk about what 19 Carter does and how we could offer things that complement what 19 Carter does instead of trying to compete.
Right.
Someone was mentioning, and this would just be fantastic, someone was mentioning having a movie night here on
Yes.
Friday nights
Yeah.
to go along with a pizza night at the church.
Yeah,
You know, the pizza, they're doing
Yeah.
pizza night, you could have a movie night here and.
I love their movie nights, but they're not always appropriate for young kids.
Say that.
So, like, I love the movie Waking Ned Divine, but my
Oh, yeah.
8-year-old doesn't understand it. And then I'm stuck trying
And
to
the naked
explain
old guy on
awkward
the motorcycle
things
is-
more so
And
than
the theater
usual.
upstairs just
Yeah,
provides a much bigger venue
Right.
for it too.
yeah.
You know, Mary Wheeler just went to one of those movie nights, and she said it was fabulous.
It's a great idea.
yeah,
It is fabulous. She
Clinton
had
has
such
it,
a
I
time.
think.
They have them in the summer outside too,
Yep.
yeah.
Mhm.
We could take them all.
Sounds like
We should take our cue from the Washington Mall. They do like, Star Wars.
What?
I've seen it there. It's awesome.
How about Disneyland?
Like how the
Yes.
city comes out.
Yep.
But if I could just note a couple of things on the budget request form, so just a couple of corrections. In the first column, where it says subtotal expenses to be voted on, under FY 2020, that 12,625 should be 16,250. And then the number below that, under total departmental request, should be 55,092. And in the far right-hand column, in that bottom cell that currently says 11,628,
Yep.
that should be 5320. Looks a lot better than all that.
This thing, this one. Subtotal.
250, 16,250, we're 16.
Be gentle.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it feels great.
And then
Bob, are you prepared to sign this today for submission, or do you want to, you are, okay. This is the corrected one.
lower right here.
On the right-hand side,
Yeah, appointing authority approval.
yeah,
It's the only space left, so I guess I should sign there.
She had a meltdown before we left here.
Would you, Bob, would you do that through a motion and vote, please? Not to be a stickler for the rules, but I'll be a stickler
okay.
for the rules.
Okay.
That's good though.
I move we accept the Town of Berlin fiscal year 2021 budget summary request form as submitted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we have a second?
Yep.
All those in favor? Aye. No opposed?
No.
Thank you.
Any other business?
Yeah, Peggy, there's another little sheet to your left there, I think. Peggy found that there is actually a program happening here tomorrow.
That one.
I sent them an email, that's what the class was still scheduled,
It's defensive driving, I think.
yes, and she said, yes, the class is still
What are we
going on,
doing?
it's this time we have 9 drivers registered. No deal.
Easy,
But it's
easy.
What time is it at?
Class begins at 9 and concludes at 1 p.m.
And who's, do you need somebody to open the building and, or how does that work?
Well, we would need someone to open the building, I'm sure, and I
That's okay.
don't know. Fortunately, we're not providing any refreshments.
You have
or
longer
anything.
hair, otherwise I would
Well, you're not supposed to eat
Mine
while
used
you're
to sit
driving.
and go like this to my
Well,
hair.
I'm thinking
It's
enough
always
that you know
nodding.
what you're driving.
That would be a
I lose like
distracted
25
driving
hairs every
class.
time she does this.
I don't have
Tail's getting a little thin.
keys, let's see,
Where in the hell?
I actually have
I
a key
can
because the highway super gave me a key because I had to get in for
okay.
whatever
And
the
so I
heck
think
it
it's
was.
just a matter of opening and closing, I guess. Leanne has a set of keys, and if she's in tomorrow morning, I could get them from her.
Oh, yeah, she has. There's somebody that does a class, is that it, for defensive driving? You got somebody doing that?
I just found out about it.
She found it on the,
Half hour. So I don't, yeah, somebody, this is a company in Ohio.
You know, it's almost too bad that we couldn't do some kind of, in the future, going forward, now that we see something like this, some kind of a program whereby seniors, and I'm not targeting seniors because I love my seniors, but there are a lot of seniors that should be on the road. And I
Probably
think
don't want to bring that up right as you're trying to get them to sign up for the course.
this is a driving class.
it's true.
I know.
There's a
but
lot of
it is-
teenagers that shouldn't be on the road,
Absolutely.
let alone old people.
At least you can
Yeah.
coming.
That's right.
But when you have a family.
I know when my neighbor's kid gets
You
home.
know it's gonna connect
I know it says it.
It's like my father,
Yeah.
he just didn't want to do it. He did not want to do it.
Take the starter off the ignition. That's what we did.
No maple syrup in the gas.
She was 93. She was gonna drive her car.
Yeah, it's actually.
We tried to
Okay, are we
approach
done?
her. Don't tell me.
Yeah, we can adjourn.
As long as my first husband.
Did we already
fixes
move
what
to
we-
adjourn?
Adjourn.
Okay, all in favor?
I think we're-
Opposed, so we're adjourned.